I want you to cast your minds back to June 2020. While we're all locked inside our homes during a global pandemic, there was one thing we could at least be excited for. The next generation of gaming was imminent, and Sony decided to put out a PlayStation 5 Future of Gaming showcase so we could all become excited for what's in store for that console. It was a really good showcase, including titles such as Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, the Demon's Souls remake, Returnal, and of course everyone's favourite, Bugsnax. But amongst all these games stood one that really caught my eye, Little Devil Inside. I'm all for the quirkier and weirder games, and this game seemed to tick those boxes, so I put it firmly on my most anticipated games list. Now, fast forward to October 2021. The PS5 was out, we were all probably still stuck inside, and Sony releases a state of play for us to all enjoy. It was definitely a smaller showcase as these things usually are, but to my delight, they decided to end the show with around 4 minutes of Little Devil Inside gameplay, giving us a closer look at what the game's about, how it plays, and how it looks. But we were also treated to some idea of when we could experience it for ourselves, 2022. Now as I'm recording this, it's January 2024 and I still haven't played the game. Not because I don't want to or I haven't had the time to, but because it isn't out yet. In fact, it's nowhere to be seen. The State of Play video is the last official piece of information we've seen. There's been no further trailers, nothing on the developer's website, or any tweets from anyone involved that could give us an indication of whether the game is alive or not. So what's going on? Where is this game? Why would the developers ghost everyone that supported it so far? I thought I'd take a closer look at Little Devil Inside, looking at its history to what we know today. I hope you enjoy. As I've said, I only found out about this game in 2020 during the PS5 showcase, but to my surprise the game was actually announced way back in April 2015. Its announcement came in the form of a Kickstarter campaign that proved to be very successful, with it earning just over 300,000 Australian dollars. Honestly, I'm not surprised it received the amount of attention it did. The trailer they released alongside the announcement is filled with the same energy as the PlayStation ones. It looks strange, beautiful, mysterious, and very intriguing. The developers go by the name NeoStream, who described the game as a 3D action-adventure RPG, and I quote, where you are thrown into a surreal but somewhat familiar setting with humans, creatures, and monsters to interact with, learn, and hunt. They claim it's influenced by the likes of The Legend of Zelda, XCOM, and System Shock, and they had an aim of creating something that's both challenging and also emotionally engaging. From the footage, it's clear you play the role of some guy who completes jobs given by other characters in the game. Survival seems to be a very strong theme, with you having to manage your hunger levels and prepare for the different climates the world offers. Combat also plays a huge role, with the trailers showing off large beasts you need to take down in addition to big groups of enemies. It looks like a game that doesn't take itself very seriously, evident in the comedic way of traversing the overworld and the wacky characters you meet along the way. I think if I was aware of it all those years ago, then I would be very tempted to back it too. What strikes me the most about the trailers is just how different it is amongst a landscape where games seemingly attempt to mimic what's successful and chase profit. There's usually very little originality, but this game looked to be a far cry from all of that. It looked strikingly beautiful, but it also looked incredibly weird and stupid, which is absolutely not a bad thing. The trailers had a good sense of humour to them and showed off a decent amount of the environments, characters, and the game mechanics. It just looks like a good game that radiates that nice, cozy feeling I chase after in a video game. But again, I ask the question, where the hell is it? After looking up the developer, it was interesting to learn that NeoStream was formed in 1998, not as a game developer but as a multimedia company. Their website states that gaming has always been their passion, and they eventually shifted into solely focusing on game development, with Little Devil Inside being their first major passion project. Their website is still accessible, but it is very barren. It doesn't look like it's been updated in a very, very long time. I did notice they included an email so that us, the very patient fans, could contact them, so I decided to email them asking for an update on the game. It's been a few days and I sadly haven't received a response yet. The Kickstarter campaign is still accessible. You can find a link to it in the description if you're interested in gaining a more in-depth look at its history. It's amazing to read about their journey. At the start in 2015, it did really feel like there was a lot of genuine buzz and hype about this mysterious little project. At the beginning, Neostream did appear to be very communicative and responsive. They'd provide regular updates for their backers to see, such as new gameplay, media coverage, new features, and also what platforms they were planning to release on. It's quite amazing to see that their initial release window was autumn 2016. Clearly, that was tremendously optimistic. But not only were these updates detailing a timeline of events, but it was also an interesting trip back in time. It was fascinating to learn that they managed to achieve a stretch goal to release the game on the Wii U. I'm sure the tens of owners of that console were ecstatic to receive such news. The updates started to become few and far between, and it's sad to see that the last official update was on June 13th, 2020, addressing the trailer shown in the PS5 reveal. The PS5 reveal was actually met with a lot of hate from Xbox and Nintendo backers, as they learnt the game would be a timed PlayStation exclusive. Perhaps in a weird way, knowing what we know now, they may feel a little comfort knowing that Sony fans have joined them in being let down by this company. Since the PS5 reveal, there's been nothing on their Facebook page, nothing on their website, there's nothing anywhere. And of course, with communication being seemingly dead, the Kickstarter backers are rightfully upset. One person recently urged everyone to report the campaign in hope of something happening, others demanded a refund, and someone stated Diablo 4 will release before this game does. Well, they weren't wrong. So what do I think has happened? It's a very good question, and my guess is just as good as yours. I do genuinely believe that this game does exist in some shape or form, but I think that all signs are sadly pointing towards it being in some form of development hell. I find it very hard to believe that Sony would choose to include this game in their PS5 showcase. I mean, this was the showcase that revealed what the console looked like. It even had big hitters like Hogwarts Legacy and Horizon Forbidden West. They wouldn't have included the game without some form of quality control, without verifying it's real. There's even a page for the game on PlayStation's website that you can still access, and you can add it to your wishlist if you want to. Neostream's website currently says the development team is made up of 12 people, but I have no idea when it was written and whether it's true today. But they admit themselves it's their first attempt at making a game, and while I'm not a developer myself, I know that game development is not easy. There's a strong chance they've bitten off more than they can chew, or perhaps COVID affected their business like it did with countless others. Maybe the increased popularity that the PS5 showcase and State of Play brought was simply too much for this small team to handle. We can only speculate on what's happened. There's just no hard evidence out there for conclusions to be made. But one thing that we can definitely conclude is that Neostream has failed to communicate. They especially owe it to their Kickstarter backers who financially supported this project almost 10 years ago. I completely understand their frustration and their demands for a refund. I'd be doing exactly the same. All it takes is one small update which could at least provide some comfort to those left in the dark. I don't think that this is a scam like the recent The Day Before scandal, but I do think that this has been a very poorly managed project and Neostream are in way over their heads. It's such a massive shame. The game has so much promise and I really hope it's able to see the light of day in the not so distant future. So that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this overview of such a curious case that's been lingering on my mind for a very long time. What do you think? Do you think it's a scam or something else? I'm really interested to hear your thoughts, so please do drop a comment below. It would be really great to have a discussion with you all. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one.